We found him. We found him.
I can't wait to talk to Brian Grant. It's going to be great.
Well, go ahead. He's sitting right next to you.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Rip City Mornings with Bunker and Danforth. Thanks for being with us. We're joined in studio. This is great. Like, it's not very often that we get to have people in studio, but the last couple times that we've had people, big name people on the show, CJ McCollum, Chris McGowan,
Bill Schonley, they've joined us here in the studio, and the same is true again today as former Portland Trailblazer Brian Grant takes a couple minutes to come in studio this morning and sit down with us. Brian, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I felt like a rat in a maze trying to make it here.
It's the worst.
That's what I said because we were telling people you'd be here at 7:30, and then when you weren't, I said, look, don't blame Brian. He probably has it on his GPS just right and everything. Defining this place is it's a task. It's actually surprising that you and I are both here by 6 a.m. every single day and that we don't get lost.
Because people see it. They see it on I-5 and 217, and then the response we always get is, I wonder, how do you get there? And then when they find out, oh, that's how. Because it's the most complicated way to get here.
That's like a tease when you go by. Like, oh, yeah, I'll get there. I only need 2 minutes, and then it turns into 20.
That's exactly right.
Well, again, thanks very much for coming in, and thanks for finding the place. I know it's not easy. We'll get to the celebrity golf tournament, which is August 31st at Oregon Golf Club. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the celebrity gala as well coming up on August 30th at the Moda Center. But before, when you first came in and sat down, we just kind of immediately started talking about the Blazers in this offseason. It's been an incredibly busy and action-packed summer with guys leaving and young guys coming in. What has it been like for you as a former Blazer to watch all of this action?
I understand it. I understand it from a GM's point of view, and I also definitely understand it from LaMarcus's point of view. For all you guys out there who are diehard Blazer fans, I'm sure you get it. The man has given us 9 solid years of basketball, and, we wouldn't have made the playoffs or nothing without that guy. And now he's going into his last contract, and you can't fault the man for wanting to have a better opportunity to win a championship. Not that he's going to get it going where he's going, but he may have more of an opportunity. And I think when the guy comes back to the city, we do nothing but give him a standing ovation.
It's interesting because yesterday he was on a radio show, and he doesn't expect that when he comes back.
I think going back, my first time might be booze because I think people are really hurt by my decision, and they don't understand why I left. So I think my first game back, I probably will be booed.
So you sound like you're on the side of the fans, and we've heard from a lot of people today, both on the phone lines and on Twitter, that say, yeah, when he comes back, show him love. He was here for 9 years. He gave you everything he had. He left. He made a business decision. LaMarcus says when he comes back, he expects to be booed. Well,
being, in his situation when I left and went to Miami and coming back, you always tend to think, well, they wanted me gone. You only think about the negative. You don't really think about all the positive things you were doing when you were in the city. And then all of a sudden you walk out and boom, it's standing ovation, or you might have 1 or 2 boos, but with this guy, no, I just don't see it. If I'm sitting next to somebody booing him, I'm probably telling them to shut up. So sit down.
Well, they're probably going to listen to you.
They would for sure. What's that process like when just free agency? Because I know you had a couple different times to be able to pick where you wanted to go. What was free agency like for you, and in terms of deciding where you wanted to go? What are some of the important factors that play into free agency for you when you're evaluating those choices?
Definitely family. What the future looks like. It's different for everyone, but it's a really confusing time, especially when you love the city that you're at, or you love being a part of a team that you're on. So it's really just, it's a confusing time, but you have your agent there. You definitely have your wife with you, and close personal friends that you want to talk everything over with before you make that move. And I'm sure LaMarcus went through that as well. I'm sure his family wasn't just ready to get uprooted and leave, but he's also from Dallas too. So, he's a lot closer to home too. So I think with each and every individual, it's different, but it's the same in that it's a confusing time because you want to try to keep the emotions out of it, but there's no way. There's no way. It's going to be an emotional decision no matter what you say, what you do.
Now, in terms of Portland and bringing free agents to Portland, this is something we've heard a lot from fans, and Portland's a city that I think it's fair to say, enjoy Portland. What is it about Portland, and what do you think Portland can do and the Blazers can do to attract free agents in the future?
Well, I think they made the right move signing Lillard. He's going to be here, and I think if I'm a perennial player in this league, and I'm looking to move and go somewhere where I can be part of a rebuild, that's number one. Number two, people we got to get them out here in the summer.
Yeah, that's so
Yesterday was perfect.
Yeah. We can get them out here during the summer. Cue the deer, do all this other stuff. That really helps. It's hard. It's hard because I played 3 years with Sacramento and then 3 years with Portland. They're both small markets, and it's really hard to sell the players on those teams because when we come in and play against Sacramento or Portland, of course, we like, man, they got some loud fans. But when it's time for us to make a change and we consider that team, we forget about all that stuff. We only think about the rain, or we only think about what it doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think it helps to have a franchise as invested in a young player like Damian Lillard as the Blazers do? And going forward, obviously, he just signed a 5-year extension. He's going to be here for the next half decade. When they go out next offseason and try to attract free agents to build around Damian, do you think having a guy like him here long-term like that helps?
It definitely does, because if you don't have a player like that and it's just a total rebuild without any all-stars or any potential all-stars, most guys who are in the position that Dame's in now won't even consider a team like that. At least when I played, they didn't. They only wanted to go to teams that were successful at the time, the Lakers or Miami or New York, and other teams.
What do you make of, because we just saw a free agent signing period where guys are making just absurd amounts of money and getting really, really good contracts because of the upcoming TV deal. As a former player, when you look at that, is there any kind of jealousy that sets in, or what do you think of the amount of money that guys are making now?
I don't think about it. I just, I look to see where guys are going, where they're signing at, and I don't sit around saying, wow, he's getting this or he's getting that. I just look at what team each player is going to and how that's going to affect the league. I don't look at the money.
We've had the opportunity to throw out to the listeners on Twitter at Rip City Mornings if they have a question or two they want to pose to Brian Grant. Again, former Blazer Brian Grant joining us in studio this morning for a few minutes. And one of the things a lot of people wanted to hear you talk about was A, who are some of the hardest guys you went up against during your career? And B, what exactly were you saying to Karl Malone?
We got that a lot this morning.
When you guys were going at it. So let's start with the guys that were the toughest.
When I first got in the league, everybody was tough. It wasn't like you got a night off. You never got a night off. You had Barkley in Phoenix. You had Buck, Cliff, Chris Dudley, Duckworth, Kersey, Bryant. Coming to Portland from Sacramento, it was a beatdown. It was just a literal beatdown. And then you go east, you had Patrick Ewing, you had what's his name? On that New York team, they had a lot. And then you go to Miami. Oakley. Mason, thank you.
Shaq.
Those are the two I was thinking about. And then you got the Davis boys in Indiana. Mm-hmm. So you never got a night. You had Elijah Wan. You had Oda. Most people don't even remember Otis Thorpe. His hands were like 2 times the size of mine. He put it on your back. You couldn't move. So every night was a battle. But there were some nights that I liked more than others because I like to challenge myself to see how I'd do against this opponent. And one of them was Sean Kemp, because he just cracked me up on the court because he'd go down and do something crazy and them faces and stuff he'd make. and he would congratulate you if you dunked on him or somebody else. Like, oh, that was a good one, Brian. Good one. And so he and Karl Malone were two of the guys I always look forward to playing against, even though I knew I was going to get my butt kicked sometimes, but I was going to dish it out too.
And then how about part two? What about when you and Karl Malone were going at it?
You know what? I have to put this out there. I've kind of let that go to, I put that to rest because the man, back in 2009, we sold a fishing trip to Alaska with Karl and myself, and we got $107,000 out of that for the foundation. So you know what? On the court, we were enemies. We battled, but off the court, we're friends, man. He stepped up big time for me.
All right. We have to, unfortunately, just a quick 60-second break here in a minute. But on the other side, we want to hear all about the golf tournament coming up later this summer. We want to hear about the Celebrity Gala, which we've actually, for whatever reason,
somehow
been invited to interview people on the red carpet, and if you've decided that you don't want that to happen, I won't blame you. But we know there's a lot of big name people coming to that event. There's been huge stars that have been there in the past. Maybe you can give us a little bit of a taste as to who's going to be there this year, what to expect, and who Taylor and I will probably embarrass ourselves in front of.
There's plenty of people, plenty of time for that to happen, too.
Yes, there is.
At Rip City Mornings on Twitter for any questions you still have for Brian.
Plenty of time for us to get some more questions into Brian as well at Rip City Mornings. We'll be doing that for the next 10 minutes or so. So don't go anywhere. We've got another segment coming up with former Portland Trailblazer Brian Grant right on the other side. Here on Rip City Mornings. Bunker and Danforth, thanks for being with us. Follow us on Twitter at Rip City Mornings. We'll give out the most outstanding tweet of the day, the Motod, at 8:55 like we do every morning. We've got another segment here. It's not just Bunker and Danforth this morning. It's Bunker and Danforth and Brian Grant.
With a special guest, Brian Grant.
Special guest, Brian Grant. Now, we spent a lot of that first segment talking about what's gone on with the Blazers over the offseason and whether or not we should boo LaMarcus Aldridge and your time defending Otis Thorpe and his giant hands. Let's get down to business. Let's talk about what's coming up later this summer. I mean, this is something that's become an institution here in Portland. The 5th annual Shake It Till We Make It event. There's a celebrity gala on August 30th at the Moda Center, and then of course the golf tournament August 31st at Oregon Golf Club. Actually, Taylor and I were out at Oregon Golf Club yesterday. We got it ready for you. It's looking good. Who can we expect to see at the celebrity gala coming up on August 30th?
Well, I can tell you some of the past people who have shown up, and I'm always hesitant to really say who's coming because, a lot of times guys commit the day before. Hey, I'll be there. Where's my room? And then the other ones that have been committed for a long time, it's like the next day. Where were you? Oh, I forgot about it. So it's, in the past we've had guys like Bill Russell, Michael J. Fox, Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler, Muhammad Ali, Meadowlark Lemon, Raphael Sadiq, Pippen, Jimmy Jackson, and Bill Walton. And, of course, some of our local guys show up. But I think you can definitely take about 4 or 5 names off of that list that'll be there, and then hopefully a few others.
So what about, just in terms, I think everyone knows your foundation or knows of your foundation, but just quickly, what is your foundation about, and what are you trying to accomplish?
Our mission is to empower those impacted by Parkinson's to live active and fulfilling lives. And the way we do that is we concentrate on nutrition and exercise. From the time that we started the foundation, I really didn't know which direction I wanted to go because we had Michael J. Fox doing all the science and research behind everything. And then Muhammad Ali was doing patient care down in Phoenix. So I definitely didn't want to reinvent the wheel. And then over the past 4 years, we kind of pulled it in and decided that the best way we can help the Parkinson's community is to talk about nutrition and exercise.
And as everyone knows, probably listening, if you don't, Brian Grant was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease back in the mid-2000s. And this is something that you've been advocating for and raising money to help support ever since then. How rewarding has it been? Obviously, you can't imagine, having not gone through it, what that experience would have been like for you. But now that you've gone through the diagnosis and you've gotten into the philanthropy, how rewarding is it to be on that side of Parkinson's disease?
It's very rewarding, to be able to go out and help those individuals who are suffering with the same disease that you're suffering with. And with this disease, it's so different, man. I mean, it's not like having cancer. The three of us have cancer. We can treat it the same way. With this disease, everyone's symptoms manifest in different ways. And therefore, the medication that the three of us would take, if we all three had Parkinson's, would be so different because it's going to make him sleepy, it's going to make you amped up, and it won't do absolutely nothing for me. So it's just a combination of trying to figure out what helps. We do know that good nutrition and good exercise definitely helps. Is it the cure-all? No, but it definitely helps with quality of life.
What do you think is the most common question you get, or the biggest misconception about Parkinson's?
I think the biggest misconception about it is it's an elderly disease. Like, well, you're not supposed to get into your 70 or 80 or things like that. But statistically, young onset Parkinson's was 60 years and below. Now they've lowered it to, I think, like 50 years and below because so many more people are coming down with or being diagnosed with Parkinson's. Now, is that because a lot of people get diagnosed and they keep it quiet? Or is that because more and more people are being diagnosed because of, pollution, whatever? We don't know what causes it. So obviously, if there's more people being diagnosed, then we need to get to the root of the problem.
We'll post all the information about the event and about Brian Grant's foundation on our website at ripcityradio.com. You can go to the Bunker and Danforth page and get some information there. Now, a couple more questions just about what you're expecting now. We talked about the Blazers offseason and all of the guys who have left. Well, there's still some guys here as well, and they've brought in a lot of young guys too. When Brian Grant goes to the Moda Center next season and sits down and cheers on the Blazers, who are you most excited to see next year?
I just like watching it. I like watching basketball, period. I know Dame Lillard somewhat. My younger son, Jaden, really knows him. So really just going in to watch some good basketball and to, watch Terry Stotts, operate with what he has.
In terms of, I know this is a question I think a lot of former players get in terms of the style of play now versus when you played and some of the, which again, it wasn't that long ago, but just in terms of the style of play now and where the NBA and where the league is at, how do you feel just in general about the state of the NBA?
I couldn't have played in today's league. I mean, and there's several other guys that played and were successful in the NBA that have similar games to my game. We wouldn't have survived in this NBA today because, I mean, you just can't be rough. You can't go out there and have battles and things like, I think that was one of the exciting things about the league back in the day is that you knew when this guy and this guy went together, you didn't know what was going to happen. It was going to be a fight on the court or fight off the court, who knows? And now it's not like that. And because I like playing like that, I don't really like the rules and the changes now, but I guess they did it for a reason, though.
Well, it's interesting because when we ask you about the stories of who it was that you liked to go up against, your eyes light up and you start talking about all the battles you had down low with the Oakleys and the Masons and the Shaqs and all those guys. Is it hard for you now to watch the evolution of the game and just see it as so different than when you were there?
It is a little bit because, if you sit there and you watch someone who's an all-star in the league now and they're just going to work on somebody, and all of a sudden, they bring somebody in who's trying to really D him up, and he gets 5 quick fouls. It's just like, wow, I don't want to watch that,
What's the relationship like? You played for a couple different coaches, Dunleavy here, of course. What's the relationship like, and how do you approach your interaction and your relationship with a coach as a player and just demanding respect? How are your relationships with coaches?
I always had great relationships with my coaches, and it's funny you should mention Mike Dunleavy. I don't think Mike gets enough credit for the job that he did when he was here because, you got to look at it. We had so much talent, so many egos, so many different types of people that it was a circus every day. But Mike found a way to juggle it and get it going right, and I was talking to somebody else about this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, just about how good of a coach Mike was for that situation because you needed a coach that would basically go out there and throw it on the line for you, but also would throw down with you if if it got like that too. And Mike was like that.
Former Blazer Brian Grant joining us in studio. Just a couple more minutes here. We're talking about the Celebrity Gala coming up, the 5th annual Shake It Till We Make It Celebrity Gala on August 30th, and of course the golf tournament coming up on August 31st. We started off talking about LaMarcus Aldridge and what he expects when he comes back to Portland being booed. Do you ever get booed back in your NBA career?
Of
course not.
I don't think so.
Of course not. Who would boo Brian Grant?
I'm sure there's several people out there that would, especially, we won't mention that what happened yesterday at the boat. But
there's definitely 2 people that might be you.
No, you worry about those types of things. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to be focused, supposed to be able to go out on the court and do your job. But it is tough. Let me tell you something. I guarantee you that LaMarcus Aldridge didn't get on that plane at the end of the season this year say, I'm leaving. I guarantee you that wasn't the case. And I guarantee you he and his wife sat around going back and forth, the positives and the negatives, and probably, laughed a few times and probably shed a couple of tears. And then, finally came up with that decision. It's not an easy thing to leave this place, man, once you're here. I'm telling you right now, it wasn't for me, and I think it's not for most people. So, when the man comes back to town, let's give him a standing ovation.
How do you think you'd be on, like, if you had Twitter when you were playing? How would that have gone?
Twitter, Facebook? No.
Couldn't have done it?
No, I mean, because, you have one bad game and you start scrolling through and you're just reading all these comments about, it was hard enough having the New York Times at your door, at your hotel door, or having whatever, a newspaper there. But now all I have to do is go to my phone and figure out what's being said, if I had a good game or no, it's too much.
I can't believe it. Guys, Damian and guys like that are so active on social media. And sometimes they'll even respond when people say negative things about him. And Damian's really good at it. He engages with fans and actually has pretty good comebacks. I can't imagine. We get one or two mean tweets during the show and it ruins Taylor's day. I can't imagine being an actual celebrity and having people take you down.
I got rid of my Facebook 4 months ago. I had to.
How do you feel?
I actually feel all right, but every once in a while I'll actually accidentally hit it on my phone and it says, "Do you want to come back?" No. But it's a lot of social media, everything. I mean, it's just there's nothing private. There's nothing that can be said about you that you can't find out about.
Well, we appreciate the time this morning. And anything we can do between now and August 30th and 31st to help promote the event, the 5th annual Shake It Till We Make It event, the 2015 edition. Of course, the Celebrity Gala, August 30th at the Moda Center, where Taylor and I will be on hand pestering your celebrity guests. And then the Celebrity Golf Tournament as well at Oregon Golf Club on August 31st. Thanks so much for the time today.
Guys, thanks for having me. And I'm sorry I was late.
No, don't be sorry.
Look,
we had nothing else to do. So.
You came.
Yes, right.
That's all we could ask for.
Yeah, so which is, most people don't come at 7:30 in the morning.
Yes,
again, more than we could say for most people.
Yes. Thanks again to Brian Grant for all the time. We appreciate it. The podcast will be available at ripcityradio.com. If you didn't get to hear that entire interview, we'll have that posted a little bit later on this morning. And when we come back, the Rip City Rundown, the 3 biggest questions in the world of the Portland Trailblazers. Don't go anywhere. Rip City Mornings with Bunker and Danforth. Mornings with Bunker and Danforth. Mornings with Bunker and Danforth.